Welcome to Mystery Date. This show was created first and foremost for entertainment purposes. While we do our best to research our topics, nothing discussed on this show should be taken as absolute fact. Opinions, theories, and interpretations are just that. Listener judgment is encouraged.
They say when storms sweep in off the Irish Sea, the wind around Hook Peninsula carries voices. Low, distant, and not quite human. The rain batters against the cliffs, the waves crash down below, and if you look across the dark horizon, you can see a lonely silhouette rising against the lightning. A massive gray mansion with a history soaked in tragedy and whispers of the devil himself. Tonight, we're traveling to the storm-torn coast of County Wexford to uncover the truth behind the legend, to separate history from haunting, and to find out why so many believe the devil himself haunts Loftus Hall.
I'm Christian.
I'm Kate. Welcome to Mystery Date.
It's date night, meaning we get to talk about all things mysterious and weird.
This season is called A Haunting, and it involves all kinds of mysteries surrounding, well, ghosts and paranormal things across our world.
This episode is all about the haunting of Loftus Hall.
Sit back, grab your favorite drink, and let's start the show.
Have you ever heard of this one? We're both Irish.
Nope.
No?
No.
I hadn't either, to be
I was going to
honest.
say, as Irish as my roots are, my parents didn't do a whole lot of heritage storytelling when I was young. I don't think they know a lot either. They probably have no idea what this is.
Yeah, well, to start it off, this is the most haunted house or most haunted place, really, in Ireland.
Oh, fun.
And it's all tied to a pretty eerie story that we'll tell, and we'll get into that. But we got to learn a little bit about the hall and a little bit more about this story first. But I just wanted to see if you'd heard of it at all, because I hadn't. So when I looked into it, I was like, damn, I don't know how I've never seen this come across anywhere.
Yeah, I know. I've never heard of it.
Yep, it just showed up on our desk for us to investigate. So, on Ireland's rugged southeast coast, where the wind lashes the Hook Peninsula and the waves crash against its black, rocky cliffs, stands a mansion with a reputation steeped in centuries of mystery. Loftus Hall. Perched above the sea in County Wexford, Loftus Hall is often called the most haunted house in Ireland. But before it became a magnet for ghost hunters and tourists, it was simply a grand county estate, one that has seen more than its fair share of war, death, and decay. The site's history stretches back to the 12th century, when a Norman knight named Raymond le Gros, I love that. That guy's name is badass.
Do you think that's how it's always pronounced with that slight accent you did?
Oh, I hope it better be. If it's not, well, to be honest.
I was going to say, that wasn't an Irish accent you did.
Well, he was Norman, so I...
Raymond Lacrosse.
So no, probably not. But that's unfortunate because that's what gives it its sting of a name. Lacrosse. Well, he landed nearby during the Anglo-Norman invasion. And he built the first structure on the land that was known as Redmond Hall. And this was around 1350, so we're going way back for at least the beginning of this. It was built by the Redmond family during the time of the Black Death, and it was a fortified manor meant to withstand both plague and siege. For centuries, the Redmonds ruled this corner of Wexford until the 1640s, when Ireland was torn apart by rebellion and Cromwell's conquest. The Redmonds sided with the Irish Confederates, and after the fall of their stronghold, the property was confiscated by English forces.
As these things are.
Yeah, which if you don't know too much about the early Irish history, I encourage you to go learn about it because, my God, it is messy. But I try to keep... I'm a history nerd, so I try to keep a lot of that dense stuff out of it. You don't need to know about the Irish rebellions going on. We're talking about Loftus Hall.
But if you want to know,
I guarantee you there's good podcasts. So by 1666, it had passed into the hands of Henry Loftus. It's kind of ominous.
Yeah.
I didn't really notice that before when I was typing that. And especially, just wait, that gets even more ominous. So Henry Loftus gave the hall its modern name, which was Loftus Hall, and the Loftuses were a wealthy English Protestant family, and they expanded the manor over the next 2 centuries profoundly. They grew a lot. Their descendants became titled nobility, the Marquesses of Ely, and Loftus Hall grew into a sprawling estate. Between 1872 and 1879, John Henry Wellington Graham Loftus, the 4th Marquess of Ely, and his mother, Lady Jane Loftus, which hers was easy, undertook a major renovation, transforming the aging Gregorian structure into a Victorian Gothic mansion. It looks pretty sick. Let me pull up a picture here for you to see. Especially its location, dude. Like, this is kind of where Harry Potter moves to with the Dudleys or the Dursleys in the first one.
Oh, that creepy castle on an island in the middle of nowhere that has everyone wondering how the heck they even got there.
It's bigger, but
yeah, it's a little less creepy looking. It does look more like Victorian and almost like an official government building or something. Yeah. But so it looks fancier and more well kept than that, but it is kind of ominously just there on a cliff.
The vibes are there. It's right on the ocean side.
There's nothing else around, it seems.
So the remodel added a grand staircase, ornamental plasterwork, and over 20 rooms of sweeping views of the Irish Sea, which, again, it's beautiful. If to have a house there, maybe not that house because I'm not too into that style. It looks nice, but I don't think I'd want to live in it.
We don't need an extra 20 rooms.
No.
How many rooms were there to begin with? That was probably fine.
So Loftus Hall would eventually become a symbol of wealth and prestige, but also of isolation. The Hook Peninsula is remote, battered by storms, and surrounded by stories older than Christianity itself. The stage was set for something darker to take hold. That leads us to the legend of Loftus Hall. It's known as the legend of the stranger and Lady Ann.
All right, never heard of that either.
No, all of this is new to me. When I was doing the research, again, I was very, flabbergasted, I guess would be the right word, that I just had not heard of this because, again, I have such Irish roots. You do too. I mean,
yeah.
And just being the most haunted house in Ireland, I just don't even know how as a kid I didn't research it doing some schoolwork or something.
Right. I mean, we all did it heritage projects and stuff. How did we not naturally come across this?
So the most enduring legend of Loftus Hall centers on a storm-tossed night, a mysterious visitor, and the dramatic revelation beneath a card table. It was during the mid-18th century, sources generally cite around 1766, that the hall was occupied by the Tottenham family. Charles Tottenham, a member of the Irish Parliament, his younger daughter, Lady Ann Tottenham, sometimes written Anne Loftus / Tottenham, so that's where the connection is, and his second wife. On a night when a brutal Atlantic storm battered the Hook Peninsula, a ship sought shelter at nearby Slade Harbor. From it emerged a stranger, well-dressed, polite, and was offered refuge at the hall. According to legend, he was asked to stay with the Tottenhams. Lady Ann and the stranger formed a rapid attachment. During the stay, the family and guests would gather in the drawing room. The game was often cards that they would play in there. One version holds that the stranger dealt himself and Lady Ann 2 cards each, while others had 3. So already you have this weird dude comes into town, stormy night, gets off a ship, and then this family's like, come stay with us. We'll take care of you. And immediately Lady Ann start getting at it. And now they've been playing these card games.
Where apparently there's no rules. He can just deal however many cards he wants to whichever people.
Yeah. So again, Lady Ann and himself got 2 cards while everybody else got 3.
Who knows what game they're playing.
On one such evening, Lady Ann dropped a card, bending down to retrieve it. She peered beneath the table and saw the stranger's foot was a cloven foot. In her shock, she cried out, allegedly declaring, "You have a cloven foot!" Or similar. It goes back and forth based on the storytelling. Immediately, the stranger is said to have shot upward through the ceiling in a ball of flame and smoke, vanishing, leaving behind a hole in the roof.
What the fuck? What a wild turn of events so quickly. We're just playing cards. He deals them 2 fewer cards. Like, I don't know, that was kind of weird. But then she drops a card and all of a sudden it's like, Clovenfoot, boom, rocket ship. The fuck is going on?
Yeah, dude turns into a fucking rocket and jumps out of the building.
Oh my God, what's a Clovenfoot?
Like a hooved.
A hooved
Almost,
foot.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's what I thought. But then I thought maybe you said plague things were happening, so I wanted to make sure it wasn't something to do with that.
So not a hooved foot. A cloven foot is almost like what you'd see on a goat.
Yeah,
actually,
like the two finger hoof
looking. Yeah,
things.
yeah. Exactly. So after the man turned into a rocket ship and shot through the roof, from that night onward, Lady Ann was afflicted. Her mental.
Well, of course.
Yeah,
that was the love of her life, that strange man that she knew for 48 hours.
And like, just imagine it, the circumstance. They're playing cards. She reaches under. She's like, "You have a cloven foot." Boom! Dude, shit.
He's like, shit, I've been caught. Time to go. And she's like, I don't. Who am I?
Who am I?
She's like, what does it say about me that I loved him? What does it say about me that I miss him? What the fuck? What is he?
So Lady Ann was going through it.
Wow, did they like tell authorities or anything that this happened?
No, not.
They just coped.
This becomes a family tale, I'll tell you that. Her mental health deteriorated, and the story claims she was confined to what is now known as the tapestry room.
The yellow wallpaper. That's a different thing, but like,
what?
but I wonder if inspiration almost came
Maybe.
from this.
The room where the game had been played originally. So it's changing its names from the drawing room to the tapestry room, and she's being locked inside after she's gone crazy.
After she had the most traumatic event of her life in there, just lock her in there forever. If she doesn't learn to cope in there, she definitely won't learn to cope out here.
There she sat. Some accounts say with her knees drawn to her chin and often refusing food or drink, merely just looking out across the sea, waiting for her mysterious visitor to maybe return. She died like this in 1775. Yeah, they didn't tell
That was like the
authorities. I don't
same
think.
year that happened, I think.
That was 1766.
So she lived like for 9 years, deteriorating and then getting confined to her room and starving herself to death.
Yep. So according to the legend, there is a gravestone inscription for Father Thomas Broaders, died 1773, in the Harrowton Cemetery in Wexford, which reads, "Here lies the body of Thomas Broaders, who did good and prayed for all and banished the devil from Loftus Hall."
Sounds like something you would find on one of the headstones leading up to the Haunted Mansion ride at Disney.
Yeah.
It definitely has that ring to it. I don't know if it's just because it's kind of a poem or because it sounds so fantastical. Like, I don't know.
And it's also like, this is a different claim here. So this now suggests that this legend was in circulation before the late 18th century for a priest to have claimed that he exorcised this evil from the hall and then to be buried with that.
Yeah.
So like, this is where it gets a little washy-washy of what the story is. So other variations of the legend record the stranger arrived on horseback rather than ship. The hole in the roof, many local accounts say that every time the Loftus family patched the ceiling where the stranger supposedly broke through, the patched section would simply just collapse again.
So there's just always a hole in their roof in the drawing room. And that's also where they left their daughter, with the hole in the roof. So it's like raining in there. They're on the Irish cliff sides. Of course, it's rainy and cold. Like, I would probably starve myself too. I'd be like, I just want to die.
Why couldn't you have taken me?
You locked me in this freezing, wet room where I experienced trauma. Like, just kill me.
Another thing that variations often state is that Lady Ann's body was found rigid with her knees drawn up, and she was buried in that same seated position because her muscles had seized.
I mean, rigor mortis is a thing.
That's terrifying,
but
though. The fact that she was buried in the fetal position.
It's so sad, really.
It really is.
It's a good thing we have some mental health care and treatment these days.
Yeah, so you're not just locking your daughter up.
It ain't perfect.
So this legend has been referenced in ghost story compilations. For example, the collection of the True Irish Ghost Stories in 1914 by St. John Seymour and Harry L. Nelligan. I hope I got that right. This includes the Loftus Hall tales, signaling that by the early 20th century, this story had been established in Irish folklore for quite some time. While some of the names and dates, Charles Tottenham, Lady Ann Tottenham, 1776, 1775, these do seem to be pretty consistent across all of these sources. It is important for us to, frame this as a legend rather than a fully verifiable historical event. The core facts: a Tottenham family did live in the hall in the 18th century. Lady Ann's confinement, reports of hauntings are documented. But beyond that, many of the dramatic details, the cloven hoof, fire exit through the roof, those are part of the oral tradition that gets passed down here. What makes this legend compelling, though, and worthy of including it in the episode, is how it blends real historical context. I mean, you have an 18th century manor on the storm-ridden Hook Peninsula, the Tottenhams, the Loftus families, reports of Lady Ann's mental decline. It does make a pretty good story when you combine all that together, especially with the mythic imagery of the devil, the card game, and a haunted room. This blend of fact and folklore is exactly where our podcast lives, and I feel like that's why I wanted to include it mainly, as funny of a story as it is, and that's kind of what sparks the original haunting of this hall. So we're going to get into some other reports and some other hauntings that have happened, but this was catalyst.
This was the main event. This was what got it talking about it being a creepy location.
Exactly. So I thought it was important to tell you guys the story, some variations, and break down what's actually fact. So Tottenhams did live there. Lady Ann was real, and reports of her confinement and hauntings were documented at that time. So that's kind of crazy. We filled in the blanks, but what did happen?
Yeah, that is, and it is funny. I think we've talked about this before on other episodes, but you don't think about history and picture people sitting around telling ghost stories the way we do today with the horror genre and mystery genres and things like that, and podcasts. I don't know. It's I do feel like it's often silly to think about anyone in the Victorian age going to the police to document hauntings. But it did happen, and I always have to remind myself, dude, Charles Dickens wrote about hauntings. It was a thing.
No, for sure.
But for some reason it does feel silly. I don't know why.
I mean, the priest part seems kind of silly to me. I'm like, this guy was an actual priest.
That's his actual headstone.
And it's basically a poem. Let me read that again for you all.
Yeah, it is a poem.
Here lies the body of Thomas Broders, who did good and prayed for all, and banished the devil from Loftus Hall. Motherfucker, what? Why is that on your tombstone?
Yeah, what do you mean you banished the devil from there? I want to know more about his story, and did he live there? Who was this priest?
There's not too much on Thomas Broders. I did try to look into it. He's Wexford at the time. This was all a very small area. That's why these people became nobles very quickly. So no, there's not much. If you know who Thomas Broders is, or Broders, please let me know. Because did he have more to do with this? Was
did
he
they
the original?
call him in to pray for Lady Ann? What was going on?
I mean, the timeline does fit. So that was in 1773. He died, and Lady Ann died in 1775, and this happened in 1766.
Yeah, so it's very well possible. My headcanon says they called him in to have him approach her distress or report the fire exit haunting devil goat guy. And then, he probably sprinkled some holy water and did some Hail Marys or whatever the fuck you do. I don't know. I'm not Catholic. But the power of Christ compel you, all that shit. And
it went away.
And then it went away, and Anne was just kind of mentally ill, and he was like, yeah, you should probably just not let her out the house anymore.
Yeah, I can't fix that one.
But the devil's gone. I'll pray for her.
That's crazy. I do like that headcanon. I think you pieced it together. I'm imagining some epic priest devil battle on the hillside.
My other
with the wind and the waves thrashing, and the father has his sleeves ripped off.
My other headcanon is that it's just some local priest who's maybe down on his luck. His church is not doing so well. People are doubting him or something. And he's getting old, and he's like, I'm just going to start telling people I banished the devil from that big house. They'll believe me. Brother, Put it on my epitaph.
There's already stories about it. It'll be easy enough. So that's the main legend of Loftus Hall, but now we're going to get into some more modern hauntings and investigations that have happened during the past few decades. So Loftus Hall has moved from a private mansion to school, then tourist attraction, and finally into a kind of haunted legend landmark. With that change has come a surge in visitors, reports, and ghost hunting events that pretty much cover all of the spooky side that this building has to offer. After the house was bought in 2011 by the Quigley family and opened for public tours in 2012, visitors began sharing experiences of unusual phenomena. Some visitors reported sudden temperature drops, especially in the tapestry room.
Oh.
Even when...
Is it because the hole in the ceiling is still there?
No, the hole's not there anymore.
Suddenly it just won't collapse anymore. They finally figured out how to fix it.
Man, it's so cold in here.
This is the room where it happened. Like, yeah, and it's also raining in here, man. Let's go.
That's one of the biggest things that happens there, but some in-tour reviews and online discussions also talk about a few different things. So here's one quote from a visitor. The only thing I remember that felt odd was the very noticeable drop in temperature in that room. It was the one that Lady Ann was locked in. I was at the back of the group and suddenly I got very emotional and scared. I had to leave. So that's pretty intense to get that feeling. I know that feeling of when you enter a certain building.
Yeah.
But you got to ask, do they know the tale before they went in?
Exactly. Or even so, like we've talked about before, I know residual energy and strong emotional energy especially is a thing. So you can walk into a place and even without knowing the full story, you could get a bad feeling and be like, oh no, like something bad happened here. Or like, I feel uneasy being here, even if you know you're safe.
Oh yeah.
Because you're getting the residual feelings of people who were once in that room who maybe did not feel safe. Even if nothing bad happened there, if somebody had a horrendous emotional experience right there, you could feel that decades later even.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that in our first episode of season 2. The residual energy, the whatever's left in that room. Especially, I mean, even if there wasn't a ghost story, there are reports of this lady being confined to a room.
Yeah.
So like,
that's what I'm saying.
Energy, yeah, that energy is still there. So regardless of the devil jumping through the ceiling, you're going to have some sort of
You're walking into a room where a woman essentially lived her whole life slowly unraveling in despair until she more or less killed herself.
Yeah, basically starved and withered away.
Yeah, that's gonna have some sad atmosphere.
Outside of the temperature drop in the tapestry room and maybe that little residual haunting happening there have also been reports of hearing children singing or laughing echoing through the halls when no children were present. I don't like that.
No.
I don't like that at all. But I feel like I remember when I wrote that down, I was like, do I ever want to add this? Because there really isn't any super concrete claims of that. And I feel like every haunted building, after a while, you're going to hear people say, yeah, I heard a little girl or I heard a little boy.
Yeah, you're going to make yourself hear something.
Yeah, like I feel like that's one that just commonly gets thrown in. But if I didn't add it, somebody might be like, hey, there's also this. Because there are claims of it. And photogenic ghost photos have circulated with what looks to be children in the background, or some even claim that it's a ghostly apparition looking through the windows. It's hard to kind of pinpoint, but a lot of people do capture a specific figure. Some people say it's the same, some people say it's not. It goes back and forth, but it's been children, it's been a man, it's been just an unknown figure, but these ghost photos have circulated online quite a lot.
That's more than the Perrins or the Hodgsons had.
I mean, yes. So it's hard to see because it's very small. I'll try to include this on the episode too, but it's going to be hard because I remember this photo was very obscure. But that's one of the common ones that's mentioned in some of the guides.
Oh, I do see that though.
No, you see it.
Yeah.
You see it.
It does. That is creepy.
Yeah.
Like, that's something.
Yeah. I will say, again, if I can include it, I'll try, but you do see some almost parallels though with the woman walking.
Like it could be a reflection.
Yes, like the way the eyes are, the way the positioning is. It looks like that's her shoulder. It looks like that's her eyes. That's her shoulder.
Yeah, and she's wearing such a vibrant color hoodie that like it reflects back easy.
I don't know.
It does
But
actually.
when you look at those side by side, it does look kind of like maybe it's some reflection of that
Yeah,
woman.
the more you study the photo, the more I think it does look like it's probably that lady's reflection. But it looks pretty creepy.
It does.
I would also be doing a lot of double takes. Like,
Yeah.
it's the kind of photo that you really do need to study it and be like, is it a reflection or is it something else? Because what is that?
Well, it's one of those things where you can never prove it. It's just a photo. So now we're going to move on to some of the paranormal investigations and media events that Loftus Hall has kind of either put on or been the center of. In 2016, Loftus Hall hosted a paranormal lockdown event from Halloween to All Saints Day, where guests and investigators stayed overnight from 8:30 p.m. to 3:30 a.m. using IR cameras, motion sensors, and thermal imaging. One investigator quoted in Condor Nast Traveler, which is a foreign traveler publication. You're not going to be reading that. I mean, you might be reading that in the States, but you're not going to know about it unless you're very well read. Said their thermal imager found something that certainly shouldn't have been there. Whether someone had been in the room we were in or it was still in the room, the entire team was glued to each other. And there isn't too much more on that case, but they did try to include some of the evidence that they gathered. I'm not going to include it here. Unfortunately, a lot of it, since their publication, it's actually all very copywritten under their IP. But it is interesting, to say the least, to go. I'd recommend go looking at some of those videos that have come out from the paranormal lockdown. Funnily enough, this is just a quick mention. This event was priced at 66 euros and played on the house's haunted marketing. You can see how they did that. Yeah. Like I said, when I found out the 1666, I didn't even put that together at first.
Yeah.
Media coverage of the hall often highlights the paranormal side. For example, the headline in 2020 by Business Insider described it as Ireland's most haunted home. Between 70,000 and 80,000 people travel to Hook Peninsula each year to explore it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, 70,000 to 80,000 people travel to this specific little... And remember, this is kind of remote. Like, Hook Peninsula is kind of remote. Just to explore this mansion. And there are very conflicting reports. I'll get into it once we start closing up on what I feel. But this is a very controversial haunted location. There are a lot of just people being like, there's nothing there. I never felt anything. And then you have people that die hard by it. And I have not really seen any people be in the middle. So now we're going to talk about some clues and some haunted features that might kind of point towards the legend being true that have kind of come out in recent years. One persistent piece of evidence in the haunted narrative is a patched section of ceiling. According to legend, the visitor who revealed his cloven foot shot upward through the roof in a ball of flame, leaving a hole that was never properly repaired. Visitors often point out that a section of ceiling doesn't match the rest, and they believe that this is the remnant of that moment. You also have local online forums such as Reddit, etc., referencing the building's ambiance when it was abandoned. They say it was a big abandoned house with barren land surrounding it, and it's unbelievably intimidating. Even aside from ghost stories, that kind of structural isolation contributes to what many visitors interpret as spooky or haunted feeling.
That's true. I mean, I was kind of just thinking about that a few minutes ago. I don't remember what we were talking about at the time, but it made me think, honestly, any abandoned place will probably have some creepy energy attached just because it's abandoned.
Yeah.
And it's strange in a world today that is so populated and that is so hell-bent on building and making money off of things like buildings and construction. Like, we're constantly building more and more and more, whether it's a business or a home or something else. But it is just eerie anytime you find something that's abandoned in today's world, I think, because of that.
Oh, especially because of tourism and the money that can be made there.
That's what
honestly.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm like, you could turn that, like, an abandoned property could be so many things and make somebody a lot of money So it's weird when you find something that is abandoned. And they do often feel pretty creepy, even if it's like this was never a creepy place. They can feel creepy. It's up to your imagination and your mindset when you walk in. Are you excited and imaginative in a nature sense of way? Or are you skeptical and imaginative in a gonna scare yourself kind of way because maybe you're a little paranoid? Like,
Yeah. I mean,
it could become your bridge to Terabithia world, or it could just be like, no, this place is haunted for sure. Like,
it does leave it up in the air though. This one, like I said, is very controversial on what it truly is. And I think the next part, like you brought up, is a good segue that we're going to talk about, kind of might contribute to that. And that's the tourism, commercialization, and the current status of Loftus Hall. The haunted tour element became a major part of Loftus Hall's identity. The Quigley owners reportedly invested around $1.76 million in the restoration and tour infrastructure. The house was then put up for sale in 2020 and eventually sold in 2021, with many news articles emphasizing its haunted reputation as part of the listing. According to recent sources, as of 2024, the public tours are no longer running or are very limited because of the sale and transformation plans. And I believe now it is up for sale without any new owner on the horizon. If that changes, we'll try to update, or if you know, let us know in the comments. But the last I checked, I believe it's for sale. Let me double check that. Let's see if we can buy it.
Well, last time it sold, it went for $1.76 million.
Oh, damn it. It sold in November 2025.
Oh, very recent.
I didn't catch that. For 3 million euros to an investor who is going to transform it into Ireland's most haunted house.
Yeah, so they're staying on theme. They're staying on theme.
So we can't buy it, unfortunately. But hey, it's still going to be a haunted house. I think it's going to be, from what I just read, like a luxury hotel / estate with the hauntedness on top.
Ghost hunting and lore. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, but then that sucks because I feel like it's going to be so expensive to go there.
And it's going to like have a bunch of fake touristy shit all over. And it's like, this isn't real ghost hunting. You're setting up fake stuff for me to catch a ghost.
There's just people running around in sheets.
Like, or some like, they could have some sort of optical illusions going on.
I want it to be like Disney World, where every night at 8, everyone lines up to go into the tapestry room, and there's a show where a man bolts into fire and jumps and exits through the roof.
You have a cloven foot.
Yeah, it's only a 15-second show. It's very
so quick. They're just sitting there playing cards. Oh, no. And then it's his turn to go, oh, no. Boom.
Phantasmic plays in the background.
That is Disney, though. That's the shit they do.
So that pretty much is where we're at with Loftus Hall today. It was bought for 3 million euros after a $1.76 million refurbishment. I think they probably lost money on that from their initial buying it too, from what it sounds like. Although that's in dollars, euros is more. So no, they probably came out on top a little bit. They probably got a little bit.
I don't know math or conversion rates.
I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm sure maybe they got something. I hope they got something, because that is a hell of a deal to not get anything out of. And now, maybe soon, you'll be able to visit it and stay the night there as a luxury hotel. That, if we're ever in Ireland, that might be something we do.
I mean, yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool to check out.
So, whether you believe the devil once walked its halls or not, Loftus Hall endures as one of the best preserved Gothic mansions in Ireland and a cornerstone of its ghostly folklore. It's a place where history and myth intertwine, where war, wealth, tragedy, and superstition all leave their mark. The story of Lady Ann Tottenham captures something timeless: the isolation of the human mind, the fear of the unknown, and the thin line between reality and supernatural. And maybe that's why Loftus Hall's legend has never faded, because in a world full of logic and reason, we still crave a story that makes us glance over our shoulder when the night grows quiet. When the wind howls across the Hook Peninsula and the sea mists curls around the old stone walls, you can almost imagine a light burning in the tapestry room and the faint sounds of cards being shuffled, somewhere deep inside Ireland's most haunted house. Do you think Loftus Hall is haunted?
No. No, I don't. I think that this family just had some mental illness issues and poor coping mechanisms for them. And that, you know, maybe somebody had hallucinations in the family and they thought they saw that. Maybe everybody was just paranoid. Maybe half the family had syphilis or schizophrenia or something. Like, you have no idea. But we know that Lady Ann was definitely mentally ill at the end. And we know that they did not cope with that well. Neither herself nor the family that just decided just lock her in a room forever. The room with the roof hole. I think the roof hole probably happened from a storm. It's right on the edge of the cliffside.
Lightning.
There was trees right there too. So it could be a lightning strike or maybe a really bad windstorm, some tree branches flying around, one lands on the roof. There's a lot of possibilities there. And it could have even just been water damage that like caused a cave in to the roof at one point, and that's why they always had trouble fixing it, is because it would just get damage around the edges of the fix and fall again. But no, I don't believe it was a haunting. I don't even know if I believe there was a strange man that showed up that day. Like, I literally just think that this family needed modern day mental health care and they didn't have it. And they had a lot of money and pride.
Yeah.
So this was the result.
And they can maybe, in the best way possible, or maybe the worst way possible, hide behind Christianity as like a scapegoat to what's actually happening in their family.
Yeah.
Like, no, it was the devil's work.
Exactly.
This happened.
I could not ever admit that myself or someone in my family has gone mad. Therefore, it was the devil.
I will say, something I didn't really bring up in this story because it's a lot more history, and the actual main coverage is Loftus Hall and the legend of the stranger and Lady Ann. But this area was known, I brought it up briefly, for a battle during the Irish Rebellion.
Yeah.
And there was a pretty small scale, like there wasn't that many men involved, but a siege essentially that happened at Loftus Hall, or Redmond Hall when it was back in the day. And during that siege, I do know that like 2 of the barons were taken and men were hanged on the property, and there was like a slaughter across the Hook Peninsula.
Okay.
So that's where I was going to come in, and I'm like, even if this is haunted, I don't think the Lady Ann story is really like the interesting story.
Yeah, I don't think it's that the stranger turned into the devil and that's what haunted the property.
No,
I think if anything,
the men that died just from natural, like it's probably the residual haunting.
The residual hauntings
horror.
After battle and after tragedy and after mental illness and who knows what else, lost children, lost loves.
Yeah.
Like it's just a lot of heartbreak or physical violence that has seeped into those grounds over the years.
And then I think you just have this family that, like I said, took advantage of the Christian outlook and were like, no, the devil plagued our daughter. And maybe she actually had like, this is just me going wild. Maybe she did, like, this is just a crazy theory. Maybe she had a lover. They hated him. That guy left. She got like syphilis or something that fucks with the mind.
Yeah.
And they just, since they're such a noble family, they were like, no, we can't have that. Hide it.
Yeah, maybe her love died in the war and she just never refused to accept it.
Well, that was years later.
Oh, okay.
And it could have been like her great grandfather, because I think the Irish Rebellion, let me double check. Yeah, that was in like 1640s.
Okay.
And this was, 1760s, whatever. So not far, but the family definitely had to have known about the battle and stuff too. So that's just something that could stoke the fire of this haunting tale.
Yeah.
It's already marked with blood, essentially, and then all you got to say is, the devil came and corrupted my daughter and turned her crazy.
I'm telling you, I just think that some people in the household might have had paranoid schizophrenia.
I mean, that could do it too. You don't know what the fucking building materials they were using. So many of these ghost stories, especially from like the 50s onwards, like the 80s, is I do believe in ghosts to a point, but I'm sure you've noticed in this season we're a little bit of skeptics when it comes to this part of the mysteries. hopefully by the end of the season, we'll both be like, you know what, that one got me. And we're doing a little bit of in-field reporting later. So maybe after that, we might see something that gets us believing. But a lot of these tales that I chose to highlight this season, I chose almost in that I'm a skeptic.
Yeah.
Like this one I chose because it's a classic tale of you have a story that makes this house haunted, but no actual like hauntings, murders, or anything that like tie. Like there's really nothing
it's
concrete.
like, why would that stranger haunt your home?
Why is it even haunted today?
The devil? Why is he the devil? If he is, why did he show up at your door? Like,
And it's like, is it Lady Ann haunting it? Is it the devil that's keeping the like what?
Right.
There's so much going on here. So I think it's almost the oldest example of your neighborhood inn and tavern from the 1800s getting turned into a haunted attraction because people say there's ghosts there, but you never hear an actual ghost story.
Yeah,
or like
even the one story you do hear, it's like no matter who tells it to you, it's always slightly different.
Yep.
No one knows where the story quite came from or what the real version is. They just know the few details stay the same every time and everything else changes every time.
Yeah, because I mean, all we have in concrete evidence for this story is Loftus Hall exists. There were battles there that left lots of negative energy and bloodshed. Lady Ann existed. She got sick or something happened to her. She was confined to her room, and there were reports of hauntings. And now people say that there is a part of the ceiling that looks different. You'll have to judge for yourself. If you ever go there or if you look at the pictures, it is slightly different in skew and color, I guess you could say. I wonder if I could...
Which again, like I said, a hole in the ceiling could come from many things. Just because there's been repairs there doesn't necessarily mean that it had to have been some goat guy turning into a rocket ship devil.
I mean, when I get down to it, no, yeah, like you said, I don't think the house was haunted. I think this was an example of a family trying to hide a secret by coming up with a tale that could possibly get them famous in the same breath.
Right.
And it kind of did. In the end of the day, it worked. So that's it. That's the story. Now we'll move on to date night debrief. So my question for today is, if you were trapped inside a big old mansion during a thunderstorm, no power, creaky floors, lightning flashing outside, what's the one thing you'd want to have to ride it out?
A book.
A book?
Yeah. Whether to read or to write in.
Well, you would need a pen then, too. So just a book.
I guess I can just take the book to read if I can't have two things.
No, just one.
Just one
pen
thing.
is stepping it too far.
All right. A very lengthy romance novel.
Okay. You're going to just steamy sitting there alone in the storm?
No, but Victorian age romance novels were really good. They weren't quite as smutty as today's are. They were steamy, but they weren't smut.
Well, I said you were
like
just
today.
trapped in an old mansion. I didn't say we were in Victorian times.
Yeah, but it's an old mansion, so I want to feel like I'm living in a Jane Eyre novel. Or in Jane Eyre, rather, in a Bronte novel.
That's fair. Okay, so you're going to sit there in a 30-room mansion.
I'm going to find the coziest spot to watch the rain with a fireplace on one of those fancy, like, Chase lounges. You know they've got them there.
Yeah.
Also, I don't need many things. I don't have to just sit there and read the whole time. Just because the book is the thing I asked for doesn't mean that's the only thing I'm allowed to do.
No.
I can prance around this castle dancing and singing like Anna from Frozen. All right?
You could, yeah.
Like, that's what I'm going to be doing. And then when I get tired, I go find my book. And then I watch the storm with my book.
Depending on how strict you get, I think the one thing I'd want would be insulin.
Well,
but if we're not counting,
this is a hypothetical.
Yeah, I was like, if we're not counting like things that we're just counting entertainment stuff, like what would you use to
what
keep you busy?
You want, not what would you need.
See, that's hard for me because I'm not a big reader. But I'm assuming there's no Wi-Fi in
I was
going to
say, but if you say a computer, you didn't say internet. If you say internet, how you going to use it?
A hacked Game Boy, like one of those creepy...
One of those jailbroken...
Like Chinese things that just have all the ROMs loaded on it. And their battery life is great. I would just play Pokemon Emerald the entire time.
Yeah, that's good. Those are two personalities right there. What would you do if you were bored? I'd read a book. I'd play video games. There you have it, folks. We've always been this way.
Hey, but that's the purpose of Date Night Debrief, is to fill you in on the kind of people that we are. It was a little bit of a shorter story today, so if you got anything you want to talk about in free talk, we did come back from our cruise. I was going to ask you, I'll just ask another question, then screw it. Because this was going to be the Date Night Debrief as well, but then I changed it to this one because I liked that it was on theme. But what was your favorite thing about the trip we just took to Mexico?
Favorite thing about the trip? Being team captains for Crazy Quest and bringing home the gold medal, baby.
Yes. So if you've never been on a Royal Caribbean ship, I'm not going to go into it too much. It's too much to explain. But Royal Quest is
Crazy Quest.
Royal Quest.
Long story short,
Yeah,
on Royal Caribbean, they have these game shows, and one of them is an adults-only game show that happens at like midnight in some like theater or lounge, and they make sure everybody's tipsy, and then it's wild. You break into teams, and they're basically a scavenger hunt challenge, but instead of find this cute item and take a picture of it, it's like, you need to bring me 4 thongs and you need to be the first team to do it. Go. And then everybody just starts moving. Yeah.
It's really
it's a
hard
wild
to explain,
time.
but it's great fun. And all you need to know to appreciate what she said is that we won. We were team captains and we won. There's probably like 100-something people in there, and our 15 in our group won.
Oh, there was more. Our team alone probably had 30-something people on it. Like, it was a large room. There were big teams.
I was drunk. It was hard to.
Yeah,
hard
we
to
all
judge.
were. No, some of the challenges are fun. It's just like, get up here and dance. And like the team that impresses us the most with their energy will get the point. So like, some of them aren't ridiculous, inappropriate things, but some of them are. And it gets wild fast. But we play that on every cruise. And this time we got to be the team captains. And that was a good feeling. And
That was great.
Especially because we won. I was like, yes.
Yeah, that was great. I think mine was honestly, and not that I love the port that much. And there's so many things that I liked about this trip. It was all just great. It was relaxing. We drank a lot. We met a lot of good people. We ate good food. We went to Mexico to 2 different locations.
Yeah, got out of this cold blizzard crap we've got here.
But if I had to like pick like what was my top favorite, honestly, it was just chilling in Costa Maya, even though I didn't care for buying the drinks there. But that was the first time we got off on a port from a cruise ship that like I could really just enjoy the beach. Like, I feel like even at Nassau, it was windy. It was cold as hell.
It was raining when we went to Bahamas.
Yeah, then we went to Canada. We're not going. We didn't go to the beach.
There was no beach. That was kind of like, hey, we're just chilling on the beach and it's right here. And that was a nice time.
Because even in Chenkonob, we did the fucking tequila tasting instead of sitting on the beach. We're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, I liked the tequila tasting.
The tequila tasting was great. That's all we'll say. We drink a lot of tequila.
We don't drink a lot at home.
Don't.
Like, we're
really
not
don't.
big drinkers.
Like this was not wine. That was cranberry juice.
You know us and our little peach bellinis. Like, those aren't liquor. Like, we are not big drinkers at home. But then we go on a cruise ship and it's like,
when you got that drink package, you gotta make it work. No, if you have a problem, don't.
Yeah, if you're sober, stay sober. I'm proud of you.
Sober.
I'm proud of you.
But yeah, I just really enjoyed hanging out in Costa Maya. That was good. But yeah, we met a few good people. If any of them end up listening to the podcast, it was good to meet you. I think there's Martin and Jennifer, if you end up listening.
Shout out.
There are lots of others, but it was great. It was a good time. I can't wait for our next one. Everybody, if you have not taken a vacation, even just something little, do it.
Yeah, just a weekend getaway, even if it's in your home state. Get out of your town for a couple days.
Yeah, we're giving you permission.
Do something new, do something fun, do something relaxing.
Yeah, everyone needs a good reset.
Do it. Life is short. Go give yourself a freaking weekend.
Honestly, especially if you live in pretty much the entire east side of the United States besides Florida right now.
We're getting pummeled hard with snow.
You need to get out of this. By the time this is up and out, we might not be as bad of a situation, but that's only in 4 days, so who knows? It might get worse.
We'll see. Stay warm out there, folks.
Yes.
Don't drive if you don't know how.
No, seriously, stay warm. Make sure you have the supplies you need, but don't overbuy. Everybody needs to get what they need from the store. There's no reason to go out and buy 30 pounds of meat for 8 inches of snow. I understand you might be trapped in your house for a day or two, but
it's not going to be weeks. Like, you're fine.
It's not like that. You need to make sure that there's enough for everybody. But I do hope that everybody was warm. You had a nice place to stay. The snow didn't get to you too bad. Maybe the roads are hopefully plowed by you by now. And life is returning to normal after Snowmageddon.
Yes. Spring is on the horizon.
Yeah, hopefully we don't have another winter storm, because as long as this is the one big one, I'm cool with that. Get it out of the way. We're almost into February. Let's just upwards from here. Well, I think that's all. So thank you guys so much for joining us, and be sure to come back every week for a brand new episode.
Hope you enjoyed the story today. And remember, you can give us your stories, give us your opinions and your thoughts on the things we share with you, answer the date night debrief questions, any of that. You can hit us up on social media at Mystery Date Podcast. Go to our website, mysterydatepodcast.com. You could even leave a voice message on there. Or we have our hotline now.
That's right. You can give us a call at the Mystery Hotline, which is 216-770-4881. Again, that's 216. Again, that number is 216-770-4881. Your story might just make it on the show, or we might just listen to it and laugh at you.
Take the risk.
Yeah, take the risk. Also, be sure to share this podcast with your friends or even your enemies. Every single like, every single subscribe, every share, every comment. Every time you interact with this show, it tells the algorithm that people are liking what we're putting out. They're enjoying Mystery Date as a whole, and it puts it in the eyes of others. So that's the best way you can help us. If you don't want to buy a shirt at the moment, I get money's tough. It's tough for us over here. The best way to help is to just hit that like button or subscribe, because that gets our name out there and boosts the show and gets more people in this little weird family we got growing.
And it gets us to do little happy dances.
That's true. Every little number that goes up there, you should see it. I'm sitting there scrolling like, oh,
look at it. Someone liked it.
And let us know what you think about this episode. Did you think Loftus Hall was haunted? Have you been to Loftus Hall? Do you have any other insights you want to add? Are you an Irish historian that wants to tell us we got everything wrong? Please do. Yeah, that sounds great.
Story time.
That's all. So be safe and have a great rest of your day or night.
And remember, every good mystery deserves a date. Bye.